Seamless press briefing. My name is Ruth Botio. I'm a member of the communications team at the Ministry for Finance. Our moderator for today is Honorable Sylvester Tete. Honorable, over to you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome. I believe that the tone is set for the Minister of Finance to deal with the matters. This is the 5th edition of the monthly press briefing. We are privileged and so grateful to the Minister and his team at the Ministry of Finance for the continuous update of happenings of the Ministry of Finance and, for that matter, Government of Ghana's information on finance. Ladies and gentlemen, let's yield to the Minister of Finance. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Minister for Information, and I really appreciate the work you and your boss, the Honorable Fatima, are doing, informing the Ghanaian public about the work the government is doing, and in particular, the partnership that we have built between this ministry and your ministry. So thank you for all the support. Let me also acknowledge my colleague, Honorable Alex Ampabim, Deputy Minister for Finance, the Chief Director of the Ministry of Finance, the ever-present Eva Men's Directors, AKEST, Debt Management, Director Sam, Financial Sector Division, the other directors, distinguished colleagues who are here, the Deputy General Secretary of our party, Prof. Husseini is here, former MP. We also have representatives from GIF, Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the media fraternity, good morning. It is with great pleasure that I present to you today an update on the state of our nation's economy through our instituted monthly media update on the economy. This, I think, is the 5th update. We did not do July because we had to present media budget. So this is about the 5th.
Recording in progress.
On the 23rd of July 2024, I had the honor of presenting the media review of fiscal policy to Parliament. And let me take the opportunity to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the people of Ghana for their unwavering support and contributions to the work we are doing to restore macroeconomic stability and fast-track economic recovery to improve the standard of living of the Ghanaian people. There is no doubt that our concerted efforts is yielding positive results. It is our conviction that in the near term, we will see even greater results as we ramp up our implementation efforts. In today's briefing, I will update you on the performance of the economy to date, progress made on the implementation of the IMF-supported post-COVID-19 program for economic recovery, PCPEC, the status of Ghana's debt restructuring program, and developments in the financial sector, the dry weather conditions and its impact on agriculture and the economy, among others. Ladies and gentlemen, we continue to see good progress on our macroeconomic stability and growth agenda. As we have emphasized on a number of occasions, the agenda is centered on improving the lives and livelihood of the people, whilst ensuring that we mitigate the impact of our policy adjustment on the poor in particular. The progress we are witnessing, therefore, transcends macroeconomic stability and growth to include significant improvement in social protection. Growth continues to show signs of resilience and robustness, with the economy expanded by 4.7% in Q1 of 2024, compared with 3.1% recorded in the corresponding period of 2023, and the revised 2024 annual growth target of 3.1%. Although half-year GDP data has not yet been released by the Ghana Statistical Service, recent data on Composite Index of Economic Activity published by the Bank of Ghana indicate a sustained pickup in economic activities. The real CIEA, Composite Index of Economic Activity, recorded an annual growth of 3.3% in May 2024, up from 2.1% in quarter 1 of 2024, compared to a contraction of 3.7% in May 2023. So against this background, we are very confident that the growth trajectory is positive, and we are hoping to achieve higher growth by the end of the fiscal year. Ladies and gentlemen, to protect the poor and vulnerable during these challenging times, we have provided more resources for well-targeted social interventions, including the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty, the LEAP program, the National Health Insurance Program, the Ghana School Feeding Program, and the Capitation Grant. Benefits under the LEAP program have been doubled, first in 2023 and then in 2024, following the indexation of the benefit to inflation since this year. Specifically, the transfers for the LEAP program increased from 50 million Ghana cedis in 2016 to 428.8 million Ghana cedis in 2023. So 50 million Ghana cedis in 2016. By the end of 2023, we transferred 428 million Ghana cedis. This has further been increased to 720 million Ghana cedis for the 2024 financial year. So we are investing so much in the LEAP program. Similarly, the benefits under the Ghana School Feeding Program and the allocation to the Capitation Grant have both been increased by 25% for the 2024 financial year. In addition, the NHIS budget has been increased. The strong disinflation process, which started in 2023, continues to show further progress in response to the Bank of Ghana's tight monetary policy stance, the strong fiscal consolidation efforts, and the improvement in exchange rate stability. Inflation declined to 20.9% in July 2024 from 22.8% in June 2024. And as we keep saying, this is coming all the way from 54% in 2022. But this is on account of deceleration in both food and non-food prices. Similarly, month-on-month inflation for July 2024 decreased to 2.1%, down from 2.9% recorded for June 2024. So it is not only headline annual inflation which is declining, but month-on-month inflation is also showing a declining trend. More specifically, food inflation declined by 2.5 percentage points to 21.5% in July 2024 from 24% in June 2024. The July food inflation rate shows deceleration of inflation by 38.2 percentage points from the December 2022 food inflation rate of 59.7%. Similarly, non-food inflation declined by 1.1 percentage points to 20.5% in July 2024 from 21.6% in June 2024. The July non-food inflation rate shows deceleration of inflation by 29.4 percentage points from the December 2022 food inflation rate of 49.9%. Inflation for locally produced items declined by 1.7 percentage points to 23.3% in July 2024 from 25% in June 2024. Altogether, inflation for locally produced items has declined by 27.8 percentage points since December 2022. Inflation for imported items declined by 1.9 percentage points to 15.6% in July 2024 from 17.5% in June 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, the cedi has relatively stabilized against major trading currencies since 2023, although it experienced some recent pressures which have since subsided. The depreciation of the cedi against the US dollar improved from 54% in November 2022 to 27.8% in December 2023 compared to 30% in December 2022. The year-to-date depreciation of the cedi moderated to 7.7% in Q1 of 2024 compared to 22.1% in the same period in 2023. The cedi cumulatively depreciated by 18.6% against the US dollar at the end of June 2024 compared with 22% same period in 2023. The cedi cumulatively depreciated against the US dollar by 21.5% as at 26 August 2024 compared with 22.1% recorded in the same period of August in 2023. The cedi's depreciation is, however, easing as the month-on-month depreciation against the US dollar improved significantly from 6.1% in May 2024 to 3.1% in June 2024 and further improved to 2.1% in July 2024. So we've seen month-on-month depreciation coming down against the dollar from 6.1% in May this year, 3.1% in June this year, and then to 2.1% in July this year. If this trend continues, then we can assure you that our cedi will continue to hold against the major currencies. The cedi's relative stability is largely explained by tight monetary policy by the Bank of Ghana, the strong fiscal consolidation, intensification of the Gold for Oil program, and the Bank of Ghana's Gold for Reserves program, deployment of a centralized platform for foreign exchange bureaus by the Bank of Ghana, which they recently started implementing. The implementation of the dynamic cash reserve ratio to absorb excess liquidity and revise regulations on advance payments for imports by the Bank of Ghana, and the positive market sentiments resulting from the disbursements of the third tranche of the IMF extended credit facility and the agreement in principle with our external creditors. It is envisaged that the following expected inflows and signals would also help to improve the supply of forex and or exchange rate stability going forward. An expected $360 million disbursement, which we are expecting from the IMF after Ghana successfully concludes the upcoming third review of program implementation. An expected $300 million from the World Bank after the World Bank Development Policy Operation 2 is approved and the successful completion of the external debt restructuring. I want to take this opportunity to clarify that as part of measures to improve the financial viability of cocoa board, government for the 2024-25 crop season will be sourcing funds through the syndication process and other alternative sources. On interest rates, since the beginning of 2024, interest rates have witnessed a decline, with the 91-day and 182-day Treasury bill rates standing at 24.79% and 26.68% respectively as of 26 August 2024, after reaching 29.4% and 31.95% respectively at the end of December 2023. The fiscal consolidation program is progressing smoothly as we continue to rein in our public finances towards achieving fiscal and debt sustainability. Provisional fiscal data for 2024 January to July shows that total revenue and grants at the end of the period amounted to 89.4 billion Ghana cedis. That is 8.8% of GDP. And this is 0.7% above the program target of 88.7 billion Ghana cedis, which is 8.7% of GDP. So what it means is that revenue exceeded the target year to date. This represents a nominal year-on-year growth of 27.5% and 50.4% of the revised total revenue budget for the year. Total expenditures on commitment amounted to 114.1 billion Ghana cedis, and this is 11.2% of GDP. This is 2.8% below the budgetary provision of 117.4 billion Ghana cedis, or 11.5% of GDP. Again, what it means is that expenditure is below target. So while revenue exceeded target, expenditure is below target. The consequence is that overall budget deficit will be an improvement on what was programmed for the period. So accordingly, the overall budget deficit on commitment basis was 24.8 billion Ghana cedis, 2.4% of GDP, against the target of 28.7 billion Ghana cedis, 2.8% of GDP. And so you can see the overall budget deficit reflecting the improvement in revenue and also the containment of expenditure. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to provide an update on Ghana's public debt developments. As of July 31st, 2024, Ghana's provisional nominal central government debt stood at 761.1 billion Ghana cedis, equivalent to $51.1 billion US. This represents a nominal increase from the previous amount of 587.7 billion Ghana cedis, equivalent to $53.5 billion. The increase in cedi terms and the decrease in US dollar terms is attributed to a combination of factors, including cedi depreciation, disbursement from multilateral institutions, and domestic financing of the budget. Now let me provide updates on the external debt restructuring program. Ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to officially launch our exchange offer in the coming days, marking a critical step in our external debt restructuring journey. The exchange offer reflects the terms agreed in principle with our bondholders on 24th June this year, including important concessions which the bondholders made to Ghana, ensuring a fair burden sharing between our domestic, official, and commercial external creditors. The exchange will be open for 21 days and we count on the full support of our bondholder community, both abroad and in Ghana, to reach high participation levels. We expect that all of our outstanding bonds will be exchanged for our new bonds, where investors can choose between two options: a par option with no nominal haircut but low interest rates, and a disco option with a 37% nominal haircut but higher interest rates. The debt exchange will allow Ghana to save $4.4 billion in debt service relief and a cancellation of $4.7 billion over the course of the IMF program, and contribute to reducing our debt to GDP ratio to 55% by the end of 2028, which is the target we are hoping to achieve to restore debt sustainability. We thank the bondholder community for their support and hope that the successful exchange will pave the way for a normalization of our relationship with the international markets. I must indicate that government has taken steps to ensure the completion of strategic infrastructure that have been impacted by the debt operation. Our efforts have enabled us to complete the Prempeh the First International Airport, the Afari Military Hospital in Kumasi, as well as the Yakubu Tale International Airport in Tamale. This week, ladies and gentlemen, the President cut short for the Accra-Tema Motorway redevelopment project. And 2 days ago, I also visited the Kasua-Wuniba Road project site with the Minister for Roads and Highways. And as you also know, the Adenta-Dodowa Road is progressing. All these projects are funded, fully funded from the national budget. Like many of you who ply those roads, I am very impressed with the progress of work on this critical roads infrastructure. There are many roads across the country that are being funded from the national budget. And so far, ladies and gentlemen, from January to June, we've spent 10 billion Ghana cedis on road infrastructure alone. So this government is really committed, as demonstrated by the levels of investment we are making to improve movement of goods and people across the country. As I indicated also in the 2024 mid-year budget, we are working with our partners to implement the Economic Roads Improvement Program, which includes the Accra-Kumasi Road. This is part of our broader strategy to open up the country for trade, for tourism, and for regional integration. And we all understand the contributions of roads to growth, to growing the economy for the benefit of our people. I will now provide updates on payments to defunct asset management companies. Ladies and gentlemen, we had indicated in the 2024 mid-year review of fiscal policy presented in July 2024 that Cabinet had granted approval for the disbursement of an additional 1.5 billion Ghana cedis to provide relief and bailout for those whose funds have been locked up in the fund management companies. I am glad to inform you that the Ministry of Finance has processed the release for the first tranche of 700 million Ghana cedis of the additional 1.5 billion Ghana cedis for the Securities and Exchange Commission to further bail out the remaining customers whose funds were locked up, including Black Shield Fund Management Limited customers. Yesterday, I instructed the Controller and Accountant General to release the funds to mitigate the stress on affected persons. The 1.5 billion Ghana cedis will be released in 3 tranches. This amount will bring the number of investors to be fully settled under the Black Shield Limited to 82,096 customers, representing 92%, and to 12,069 customers, representing 78% of the rest of the fund management companies. This will bring the total number of investors fully settled under the bailout scheme to 94,165 customers, representing 90% out of the total validated claims of 105,178 customers. This intervention is being done despite the tight fiscal space, evident of government's commitment to provide relief to investors of the defunct fund management companies, especially the pensioners groups. Ladies and gentlemen, we are currently preparing for the 3rd review of our IMF-supported program after successfully concluding the 2nd review of the program on 28th June 2024 with strong endorsement of Ghana's economic management by the IMF executive directors. For the 3rd review, the IMF has programmed a staff mission for the period 24th September to 4th October 2024 to, among others, assess the performance of the country in relation to the performance targets agreed with the fund under the program. The review will assess the 6 quantitative performance criteria, 4 indicative targets, and a number of structural benchmarks due by end June 2024 and those due before the board date for the 3rd review. Preliminary data for the first half of 2024 indicates that we are on course, we are on track to meeting the targets for the 3rd review. It is expected that the IMF Executive Board will consider Ghana's 3rd review for approval by end December 2024, which will enable the board to immediately disburse the 4th tranche of $360 million, bringing the total disbursement to $1.9 billion. Ladies and gentlemen, as you are aware, government is in a $900 million development policy operation program with the World Bank for a period of 3 years, 2023 to 2025. This is to support the budget and the implementation of key reforms aimed at restoring fiscal and debt sustainability, supporting financial sector stability, as well as private sector development, to improve the energy sector and also its financial performance, as well as fostering resilience to shocks and climate change. Following the achievement of the first set of reform actions, the first tranche of financing under the development policy operation amounting to $300 million was disbursed by the World Bank in March 2024 to support the budget. Government is currently implementing the second set of reform actions that will result in the disbursement of the second tranche of the funding under the Development Policy Operation Series. Significant progress has been made by all implementing MDAs towards the achievement of the reform actions. 5 out of 10 actions under the Development Policy Operation 2 have been achieved so far, with the remaining at various advanced stages of completion. There are, however, 4 legislations pending parliamentary approval that are critical. These legislations are critical to the approval and disbursement of the second tranche of the DPO series. These are the Social Protection Bill, the Environmental Protection Authority Bill, the amendment to GIPC Act, and the LI on independent power purchase. We are working with Parliament with the expectation that all these outstanding legislations will be passed by the House during the recall to help fast-track the achievement of all actions necessary for the disbursement of the next tranche of $300 million. Ladies and gentlemen, let me now touch on the drought conditions or dry weather conditions in selected regions of Ghana and the impact on food production and food security. And luckily, I'm starting this noting that the Minister for Food and Agriculture is here. On Monday, 26 August 2024, government, through a press engagement with the Minister responsible for Agriculture, but also joined by the Minister for Defense and facilitated by the Minister for Information, updated the country on the recent occurrence of dry weather conditions in the 8 regions of our country. 5 regions in the north, northern, upper east, northeast, savannah, and upper west, and 3 regions in the transitional zone of Ghana, namely Bono, Bono East, and Oti. We are mindful of the negative impact of the dry spell on agricultural production, food security, jobs, income, and investment of farmers, but also on macroeconomic fundamentals such as GDP and food inflation, among others. As has been announced already, the potential impact of the dry spells on the livelihoods of our people is going to be great. And this is why we consider this situation an emergency situation that requires the quick response of government. Government has put in place some emergency measures as a result of this to mitigate the impact of the spells on livelihoods and on the economy in general, and to prevent food shortage in the country. We are working hard to ensure that this near drought condition does not disrupt the country's IMF supported program. Government is implementing the following interventions to avert the crisis and mitigate the impact of the crisis on the people and on the economy. A temporary ban on exports of selected grains, including maize, rice, and soya bean. Mopping up stocks from local farmers to ensure that farmers do not suffer adversely from this ban. Importation of grains, including maize and rice, and poultry feed to stock up. Drought relief support, where cash transfers will be provided to the affected vulnerable farmers to partially compensate their losses. And input support, where affected farmers in the north and in the south will be provided with inputs to enable them replant when the rain starts and to boost production during the minor season in the southern part of our country. These inputs include fertilizer, urea, maize, seeds, and rice seeds. These inputs include fertilizer, urea, maize seeds, and rice seeds. You can understand that is the finance minister who is making these statements, not the minister for agriculture. The total cost of these proposed interventions, ladies and gentlemen, is estimated at 8.3 billion Ghana cedis, equivalent to $522.2 million. We envisage that this will be funded from GOG resources, complemented by funding and technical support from our development partners. As I speak to you, we are at the Finance Committee of Parliament to get approval to access a part of the contingency fund. Ladies and gentlemen, government has put in place an effective governance structure to ensure we address this situation to minimize its impact on the people of Ghana and on the economy, and to ensure that there is accountability of all the resources that will be channeled towards addressing this crisis. Number one, His Excellency the President has tasked the ministers for Food and Agriculture and for Finance to oversee the implementation of measures to address the situation. And number two, a technical task force with membership drawn from the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Food and Agriculture, and development partners has been constituted to monitor the mobilization and use of resources for the implementation of the programmed intervention as part of measures to ensure transparency and accountability. Ladies and gentlemen, government also continues to invest significantly in the development of irrigation facilities, small egg dams, and boreholes in the northern, upper west, upper east, and eastern regions of our country to expand crop production in these areas and to build our resilience against shocks such as what we are experiencing now. Government remains committed to advancing the economic enclave projects under the Ghana Cares program, which is set to revolutionize agriculture by attracting private investment and leveraging development partner resources. The EEP, that is the Economic Enclave Projects, aims to develop large-scale grain fields that will serve as the food basket of the country and the sub-region, with the private sector leading the charge. I'm now going to conclude, ladies and gentlemen. As we reflect on the progress we have made, it is clear that our collective efforts are steering Ghana towards a path of sustained recovery and stability. The strides we've made in fiscal consolidation, debt restructuring, and economic reforms are not only yielding positive results, but are also laying a solid foundation for future economic growth. The implementation of the IMF-supported program, coupled with our resolute commitment to sound economic policies, is driving the resilience and robustness we are witnessing in our economy. The steady decline in inflation, the relative stabilization of the cedi, and the positive momentum in economic growth all point to a promising trajectory. Our achievements on the debt restructuring program, both domestic and external, highlights our commitment to restoring fiscal stability and ensuring debt sustainability. The support from our international partners and creditors, alongside our own strategic measures, have been instrumental in navigating these complex challenges. In accordance with Article 180 of the 1992 Constitution, and in line with existing conventions, ladies and gentlemen, government has commenced the preparation of the annual revenue and expenditure estimates for the 2025 fiscal year. From these estimates, the 3-month expenditure in advance of appropriation will be developed and submitted to Parliament for approval. Government will ensure that the fiscal policies in the 2025 annual estimates are consistent with the medium-term commitment of fiscal consolidation and debt sustainability. Ladies and gentlemen, we recognize that organized labor has kept faith with government, and we appreciate the continuous goodwill we receive. As partners, we have, through various forms of engagements and negotiations, managed to keep the labor front relatively calm and will continue to do so. To build a vibrant ecosystem that will support the development of skills among the youth, a digital youth hub is being constructed at the University of Ghana for young tech entrepreneurs to interact, collaborate, start up, and build sustainable technology-based businesses. The first phase of this project is expected to be completed in November this year. We are supposed to show you some photos for you to appreciate the kind of work being done on the digital space. But looking ahead, we remain focused on building on this momentum. Let me assure you that we will stay the course and remain within the 2024 appropriation. Our medium-term outlook is optimistic, with projected improvements in GDP growth, inflation control, and fiscal health. The government's dedication to social protection, structural reforms, and prudent public finance management will continue to drive our efforts towards sustainable development. We are mindful of risk to the outlook, including the impact of the dry spell on our farmers and on the economy. We have put in place an elaborate plan to ensure that we address this issue so as to minimize its impact on the people and on the economy. I wish to thank you all for your continued support and partnership as we work together to achieve our vision of building a bright future for all Ghanaians. Especially, let me thank you, members of the media fraternity, for your great partnership and solidarity with us as you help us carry our good news of progress, our good news of proper economic management, our good news of accelerated growth, and our good news of improvements in the living conditions of our people. I thank you very much for that support. And to all of you, may the Almighty God bless all of us and bless our country. Thank you. Minister, welcome.
Thank you.
So the minister will answer all questions on the dry spells and food crisis.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister for Finance. You're welcome, Honorable Minister for Agric. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard the minister. I doubt if you have any lingering questions. The die has been cast. It's clear that the trajectory is quite positive. We are quite hopeful. He's worked very hard, and this is where we are. We'll give you opportunity to ask all the relevant questions. You mention your name, your media house, and you go straight to the point. Thank you very much. We take 5 at a go, and then we come back again. Thank you.
Hello. Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Nanoya Ankra. I work with Asasi Radio. Minister, for the first time in 32 years, the finance minister spoke about expected forex and didn't mention the cocoa syndicated loan coming in. But it's a worry for a lot of people because Cocoa Board announced somewhere last week that it is going to, finance the buying of cocoa itself. And people are worried because we have depended on this cocoa syndicated loan for the past 32 years to shore up our forex. We have some few days because the cocoa season for 2024-2025 begins on the 1st of September. Minister, are you able to tell us where Cocoa Board is going to get the money to buy the beans from Sunday? And if possible, tell us if Cocoa Board is ready to do that. My second question is, you mentioned importation of food. I'm glad the Agric Minister is here. Sir, can you tell us what commodities you are going to import, at what cost, and when should we expect the food coming in? Thank you.
Okay, my name is Emmanuel Bruce from Graphic. I think if I heard the minister right, he mentioned that we'll be relying on the syndication loan for this year So I wanted to find out, as a sector minister, is it that Cocoa Board did not have any conversation with you before making that announcement? And then if we are, how much are we looking at? And also you mentioned alternative sources. What exactly are these alternative sources? How much are we looking at raising from these alternative sources as well? And then my second question is, I want to find out, is there any update on our negotiations with private banks and contractors with regards to the debt restructuring? What is the update on our negotiations with the private banks and then the contractors? Thank you.
Okay, my name is Minua Afol. I'm with TV3. So you mentioned that in your effort to minimize the impact of the near drought season, there's a ban on importation of grains, and that you are also going to exportation, and you're going to import more to show up the local produce. I want to find out what measures you are putting in place to ensure that the local farmers are not pressured to sell below their break-even prices or points.
So there are two questions I will take. If you heard me during the reading of my statement, I said, and I want to repeat, government for the 2024-2025 crop season will be sourcing funds through the syndication process and other alternative sources. So it is not true, I did not mention syndication. Okay. Maybe I didn't provide the details, but I've mentioned that. If you want the details, I can provide that to you later, because the Cocoa Board is still negotiating. The information I got from them is that they issued the request for proposal covering up to $1.5 billion, but the syndication is not expected to bring in more than $600 million, and so they certainly will need other alternative sources to be able to fully fund cocoa purchases for the cocoa season. And this is why I was categorical that government will source the syndication as well as other funding sources. As to the amount, the details can be provided later through Cocoa Board. The private banks and contractors, the state of our negotiation with them. We've actually issued we sent an offer, we asked our advisor to send an offer to them after we have physically engaged with them. I visited China, we've also engaged some of them in Ghana, and we think we are ready to share an offer, to present an offer to them for their consideration. And so we've instructed our advisors to share our offer with the creditors, the commercial creditors, and hopefully they will accept the terms that we are offering to them. I think it's about $2.8 billion that is outstanding. Yes. Okay. So we have the digital hub, which is being done by the Ministry of Finance at Lagos. And let me add that we are going to also provide lodging facilities there, a hostel to accommodate the youth who will be training in digital skills, in digital entrepreneurship at this hub. This is expected to be completed by the end of November this year. And we've also agreed to provide an endowment fund of about $5 million United States dollars to support the operationalization of this hub, so we can leave a lasting legacy for the youth of this country that are looking for jobs, and not just jobs in this digital economy that is consuming the whole world. And so we are ready. Ghana is prepared, and we are going to support our youth to take up placement in the digital economy, not just in Ghana, but opportunities across the country. And so, ladies and gentlemen, at the appropriate time, hopefully in 2 weeks or so, we will be taking you around to see the work that is being done at the University of Ghana. We can take our responses from the Minister for Agriculture on questions relating to the food crisis.
One of the alternative sources want to know whether you are looking at
I said Cocoa Board will provide the details. Yes, I said that. Yes. So, Agri Minister has something to say on the syndication.
Thank you. On matters of Cocoa Board and strategy, every year we do syndication, which is the committed sales that we mostly hear about. But we also do what we call the uncollateralized sales. Okay? And it's mostly between 10 to 30% uncollateralized, and then the collateralized, which is a committed syndicated loan. Now last year, and then part of this year, we realized that when the cocoa, we had paid cocoa prices at 2,800, and it shot up to 10,000. And we had committed ourselves to contracts at that 2,800, okay, that we couldn't come out of. So the strategy, and then of course those uncollateralized portions, we were getting the benefits of the high market prices. So the strategy was that let's flip it, okay, to a more uncollateralized sales and then a reduced syndication. But because you always hear that we've gone to syndication and we have 1 billion, 1.2 billion, the mindset is that that is the only way we sell our cocoa. But it is because that is the majority of our sales. All we are trying to do is to, just as a strategy, to flip that, okay, and go into more uncollateralized sales so that when there's an uptick on the world market, you can benefit from that spot sales. So it doesn't mean that we're going to run away from syndication, and that's why the finance minister has been saying that we are still going to go on the syndication market. But the prayer is that for the farmers to benefit more, okay, and looking at the trajectory of the world cocoa market price, then we should try and do more of uncollateralized, because you go and commit to a syndication of all your crop, and then now it goes to 10,000, you commit at 2,800, it goes to 10,000. Your farmers are seeing that the world market price is 10,000, and then they are asking for more money. Meanwhile, you have committed at the beginning of the farming season to a lower price. So that is really the strategy that we are pursuing, and that is why the finance minister said originally we were looking at about 1.5 billion, but we are hoping that we can scale it down to about 6 million and look at the uncollateralized market. And that the uncollateralized market means that those who process our cocoa, the big ones, we're going to deal with them directly at the world market price, and then we can get more benefit for our farmers. So the alternative sources of funding is not banks, or is just dealing directly with the market players, the processors. And I'm sure I don't have authorization to mention their names, but we know who the big processors of cocoa are. It's just dealing with them directly. Okay, you supply them the beans, they pay you your money, you are able to give more value to your farmers. The second question was on the effect of the ban on the prices that we will pay farmers. We did ask that Ghanaians bear with us, especially farmers farmers don't export their crops to out of town. Farmers don't do that. 99.99% of farmers don't export their produce outside. It is the aggregators. It is the aggregators, those who aggregate the produce. They are the ones that export the crops, not the farmers. Okay, so the idea here is that there's really not much grains in the system anyway. Okay, so the little that we have, let's protect it for the benefit of Ghanaians. And we are not saying that if you're a farmer and you have grains, now you don't have anywhere to sell it, come and sell it to government for cheap. That is not what we're saying. There's a market price. When we announced the ban, we did say that if you have any grain and you want to sell, government, Ministry of Agriculture is one of the avenues that you can sell. But look, we shouldn't have a challenge because there's really not much grains in the system. If a farmer brings their grains to the market, they will have quick buyers to pick them up. But if really there are no buyers, Ministry of Agriculture is here to pick it up and redistribute, and it will be at a fair market price. The other question was on the importation of food. We're looking at maize, about 313 to 50,000 metric tons of maize. And we arrived at that quantity because we consume about 2.5 million metric tons of maize annually. Then half year is gone, so let's say about 1.2 million is already consumed. We intend to invest in the southern sector minor season. The southern sector minor season, which is starting now. We're going to give about 1 million farmers inputs, okay, to shore up the production in the southern sector. It has also since 20th August started raining up north, okay, and we have a short window of about 2 weeks to get inputs to farmers to also take advantage of that rains. We are hoping to recover both sectors about 600,000 metric tons of maize. So we're going to have a deficit of about 600,000, and we want to import for now 300,000 to fill that gap. And we're expecting the northern harvest to have hit the market by the end of September to October, by which time our imports would have arrived to bridge that gap. And we'll be monitoring if there's a need to, we'll bring in some more. But we believe that the southern sector efforts that we're going to make will bridge that gap. And same for rice. We have targeted about 75,000 metric tons to start with. Our import horizon number is about 150,000. We are monitoring the situation. There's also a lot of private sector efforts to bring in rice into the system, knowing that there's a deficit in our production of about 400,000. So we are talking to them, and then we are also looking at our fund commitment to ensure that there's enough rice and maize on the market. Thank you.
My name is Neela Telate from City FM Channel 1 TV. Minister, we are going into the contingency fund for some 500 million Ghana cedis to help tackle the drought situation on our hand. I want to find out specifically what are we going to use this 500 million Ghana cedis for, and also what is the plan for replenishment. I'm asking this question because of concerns raised about monies that were advanced from the stabilization fund to the contingency fund during the COVID era. So if you can give us an update on that as well. Also, we are quite optimistic about turning around when it comes to the depreciation of the cedi. Yes, of course, the depreciation rate 18% compared to 22% last year. But last year when it was 22%, the cedi was around 11 cedis to $1. But now that we are talking about 18%, it is hovering around 16 cedis to $1. And so if you are very optimistic in this particular situation, does the minister have any forecast as to between now and year end, the rate at which a cedi will be pegged to $1? Thank you very much.
Okay. My name is James Ashen from Joy Business. So my question had to do with the IPPs. The last time we've been told you've reached agreement with 5 of them. I just want to know the state of the rest, the IPPs. Yes, and also I just want to also know our extent out there to discussion, especially the bilateral commercial creditors, as to whether we can finish before December. That's all.
Good morning, Honorable Minister. This question goes to the Minister of Agriculture. Yesterday, I was listening to a GBC program, and Poultry Farmers Association were up in arms because they are thinking that if the ban is on maize is enforced, they will not get maize to feed their poultry. And therefore, because what they said when the call occurred, they were importing maize from Okay, another question. People are saying that Cocoa Board is owing some people that have taken the loans from, and so because they're not able to pay, that is why they are struggling to, as it were, get resources to purchase this year's cocoa. I don't know how true it is because they say they are not able to pay their debtors, so their creditors. Well, people that gave loans to the syndication, that's what they are.
Let me caution that we have to be specific about our questions. In the realms of speculation, it's difficult for the minister to also go into the realms of speculation. When you say people, which people, we should provide facts on the basis of that. The Cocoa Board creditors are speaking. I'm sorry. Please, let's move to another question.
Yes. My name is John Awuni. I just wanted to find out the 8.3 billion Ghana cedis from the syndicated loan, which is the $522 million the minister quoted, and that is currently in Parliament. I just wanted to know.
That's not syndicated.
Sorry, contingency. I'm sorry, contingency. Pardon me. I apologize. Yes, the contingency funds. Yes. So I just wanted to know what are the key performance indicators that will be used to monitor the success of this intervention on the 8 regions that are currently hit by this drought. What are the key performance indicators that will be used to monitor the success? And also, how will it be tracked so that at the end of the day, it will not be a good policy initiated, but no success? Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. My name is Edem Kujo. I work with GH1 TV Star FM. Minister, in your presentation, the early part, you said you were optimistic that the growth rate would be maintained considering where we are. Now, you also rightly said inflation had dropped from 22% to 20.9%. However, when you look at the data and when people do the projections, as a result of what someone will say is the base effect, there are risks that the coming month, that is for August, is likely to actually even see an upward turn. Considering this situation we find ourselves in, where we are having a shortage in food supplies, we are likely going to import some food items, which is likely equally going to affect forex in terms of demand. Do you still think that the 15% end of year inflation target we've set as a country is possible? And what then is the realistic if it's not possible? Thank you.
All right. Pacho, your friend me boss Adom TV. Me person me bisa se wo hwa toronche ma si wo sirem ene emiamia hodo ansuo ntone ade na anamon be ne yetu minim se soafo na ka bebre se aban de niam bia gu akwan mu ne ade. Aside that no exporter ya say ya band no daban na sa expiry date meba yakase yamfa nko anase yamfa niema nko amanone ne ade no. Is there a time frame for it and answer time bia ni ho na atorenche ma si wasrem no me bisa se yato anamon bi se de bia daachi ankwa ma bi se bibi se sansi a yam face such challenges we ana medam wase.
So first of all, the contingency fund. The contingency fund is established by the Constitution for purposes of responding to emergencies. And so when you have not budgeted for some activity and as a result of a crisis, you have to find money to respond to it without jeopardizing your fiscal targets. Then you need money from the contingency, which is also part of the budget, to be able to address those emergencies. And this is why we had to go to the contingency fund. But the process for accessing it is also well articulated in the Constitution. You go to the Finance Committee, that's exactly what we are doing. What it will be used for, the Minister for Agriculture will provide some information on that. But as far as the replenishment, you see, the Constitution provided for the contingency fund, but the resources that go to the contingency fund is defined in another law, the Petroleum Revenue Management Act. And the law says that when you have excess over the stabilization fund, part goes to the contingency fund and part goes to the sinking fund. And so it is not something you can just take money from somewhere to replenish it. The replenishment is over time as you see excess over the stabilization fund. And so anytime we have that, we are compliant. There is nothing we can do about the law. We have to replenish. Okay, and so it will happen over time. Anytime there is excess over the stabilization fund, the surplus certainly will go to the contingency fund and also part to the sinking fund for debt repayment. Then the question on the depreciation. You see, we practice a floating exchange rate system. And so you cannot tell at what rate will the exchange rate be pegged. Even tomorrow I cannot tell. You may have projections, but I am not able to provide projections from the Ministry of Finance because this is market sensitive information and I do not want to influence market sentiments. And there are people out there who are doing their own projections and influencing market sentiments. I do know that some of the information relating to the projections they make out there is propaganda. It's intended to hurt the economy. And I know people who have put out such projections to hurt the economy. You know, what we call economic saboteurs. But as far as we are concerned, we do our projections. The Bank of Ghana does projections. But we cannot put it out there because it is market sensitive. But we are optimistic that the policies we are implementing are working, and we will continue to pursue those policies to ensure that we contain the depreciation of our currency. You are asking also about IPP payments and the agreements that we have reached with IPPs. What is the status, right? Yes, so we reached an agreement in principle with, I think, 5 out of the 6 IPPs. For 3 of them, we are supposed to go to Parliament to get amendment to the power purchase agreements that we have renegotiated. And so we are in that process. All the approvals we need from the Attorney General, from the PURC, we've secured them. So it's left with the parliamentary process that we'll have to go through to finalize or to to bring the agreement, the new power purchase agreement into effect. As far as two others are concerned, here I'm referring to Senate. We are not going to Parliament on their case, so that is sealed. Then we also have Asogli. ACG has finalized negotiation with Asogli. They've just written to me to inform me the details of the negotiation. And so that one is also not going to Parliament. So in that case, once I'm satisfied with the terms negotiated, we will be done with Asogli. Then there is also AXA, which is not going to Parliament. We are done with that one as well. So this is the state of the agreements that we have signed with the IPPs. We are hoping that when we go to Parliament, we will get approval for the three that requires parliamentary ratification because of the amendments, the material changes that are occurring in the restructuring the power purchase agreements. But let me say also that as part of the terms of negotiated with the IPPs, we were supposed to make some bullet payments, and the Ministry of Finance has fully complied. We have fully paid all those bullets. Let me also use this opportunity to thank the IPPs. They've made significant concessions to government, as a result of which we were able to reach an agreement. So we've done our part of the deal. They've done their part of the deal. But process is process. We need to take it to Parliament. But apart from those that are going to Parliament, the others are done with. Thank you. Then our Eurobond holders, when do you hope we will finish? Will we be done before December? I mentioned in my speech that we are launching the exchange, and it will be done for 21 days. You know, I believe we will launch next week, and after 21 days, we should be closing, and that will bring to a close the restructuring of our Eurobonds. Then I think this is all about me. Do you still think end of year inflation target is possible given the food crisis we are responding to? So you see, there are risks to every target, but government must also have a mitigation plan to address the risk. It is because we still want to achieve our 15% inflation target. That is why we are responding. We are mobilizing resources to respond comprehensively to the crisis, and we hope that the measures we are going to implement will help assuage the pain the crisis could inflict on the targets, the macroeconomic targets, inflation, for example. And so I'm very optimistic that we will still reach there once we implement these policies. Minister, the difficult questions are for you.
Thank you very much. I will attempt to answer them. The first one was, what will we use 500 million for? I think we, in the press briefing at the Information Ministry, we gave a comprehensive breakdown of how the global 8 billion will be spent. The cash transfers, we did mention that we have identified 980,000 farmers to be at risk, and confirmed the 980,000 farmers were cropping about 1.8 million hectares. But we had been able to confirm 871,000 farms affected. The validation is still ongoing, and this was as at 20th of August. And we intend to pay 1,000 cedis per hectare. This is considering that the farmer would have lost about 10,000 Ghana cedis per hectare of investment. Government wants to pay 1,000 cedis of that, because that is not the only support that we are giving the farmer. We are also giving the farmer the inputs per hectare which is close to about 8,000 or so Ghana cedis. We are giving the farmer that fertilizer, that seed, so that they can come up, get back on their feet, plus the 1,000 Ghana cedis. We are also giving the farmer food grant, because it was expected that whatever they harvest will take them through to the next planting season, because they have only one planting season in the savannah zone, not the savannah region, in the savannah zone, and the top half of the transition zone, which is Bono East and OT. They only have one planting season, and whatever they harvest they keep and feed for 1 year. But because we are giving them the inputs to take advantage of this short window of rain, we are expecting that they will recover something. But that notwithstanding, we want to give them some food grant. So 1,000 cedis, seed and fertilizers, and then the feed grant, in the hopes that will restore them. So a portion of that money, the 8 billion, is going to cash transfer of about, as at 20th August, validated 871 million, inputs 4 billion, importation of rice 1 billion, maize 1.4 billion, and then poultry feed about 250 million. That is 8 billion. We have a commitment coming from the contingency fund of 500 million. So we will apportion it to these areas, not in equal proportions, because some of the items are being, for example, imported at a go. So whatever we get from the agri budget, from the contingency fund, from other allocations that the ministry makes, we will apportion them to whatever we are dealing with. The second question is, what time are we going to lift the ban? We have to monitor the situation. We are hoping that this thing will not travel for more than 6 months. We are monitoring the situation. We have to be fully stabilized, including having some stock in our reserves to be able to respond to any such situation in the future without falling 100% on imports. So we want to be able to harvest what will come in, plus what our imports will be, and have some resilience. We also have to talk to our neighboring countries. You know that there's a ban in Burkina in effect on the export of their grains. There's a ban in Cote d'Ivoire. There's also a ban, I think, in Nigeria. Togo has not announced a ban, but the way they are enforcing, they are restricting the export of their grains without announcement. They have their own tools to deal with it. So effectively, it looks like all our neighboring countries, nobody is allowing grains out. So we'll monitor the situation, but we believe that we will come out of this situation by November. We should be home clear when the northern harvest comes in and the southern sector comes in, and then the imports comes in. By November, we should be home and dry. So we'll monitor and we'll apprise the nation. Do we have a system in place to monitor it? Here at the ministry, at the government level, the president has set up a team co-chaired by the Minister for Finance and myself, and that is why I'm here. I've reported for duty to account to the people, and that is exactly what we are doing. This will not be the last. The other aspect is that there's a technical working group made up of the Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Finance, the development partners, chaired by the World Bank. They are coordinating a technical group to also help us out of this situation. There's a strong oversight. As we speak, they are camping in my office at the Ministry of Agriculture, cranking the numbers, validating the farmers and the likes. In terms of delivery to farmers, we have one of the most transparent systems developed. And we tried and tested it when we gave the grant inputs to farmers. We call it the Ghana Agriculture and Agri-Business Platform, which is an extensive integrated platform with about 20 modules working. The farmer module is where we register a farmer linked to your Ghana card with your farm mapped. So we link you, take your details, and we link you with your farm. So in this case, if you are not standing on your farm, evidence of farm destruction, and you cannot go and stand on a piece of football park and take a picture and upload on a system. No, but if the picture is not taken within that polygon in itself, it will not allow you. That pic evidence must be captured on the system before you can become a beneficiary or receive any of the food grants and cash grants. So it's a very transparent system of delivery, and a system that we will be able to account to Ghanaians anytime we are called upon to do so. That assurance we can give Ghanaians.
Thank you. I'd like to add that as part of medium-term measures, the government has purchased an insurance policy against future droughts in the northern region. We have purchased an insurance policy by which we are paid a premium of $1 million, and the payout will be $5 million when you experience such droughts. And this will cover smallholder farmers in the northern region. So this is one of the instruments that we are using. In addition to the irrigation projects that are being done, the small dams that are being dug around the enclave, economic enclave project that we are implementing. These are all measures to build our resilience against droughts and other such unforeseen crises.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. Honorable Minister, it's always a pleasure listening to you give out the numbers and the facts. I'm going back to the cocoa. The cocoa issue is like threatening to take the answer away from the main core issues you've raised. But you remember that last year, Cocoa Board had to borrow about $200 million from the traders in the market, and that was due to a delay, as quoted, a delay in assessing the $1.5 billion indicated loan. Now, when you look at the performance of crop itself in this season, you realize that it's quite slowed down. And then the projection is also that the coming year it will also slow down. Then you relate this to the rate at which how much we got last year came. You realize that there is a relatively higher, interest rate on what was borrowed last year. And then our information from the market is that the market is quoting even a higher rate this year, for any money they would like to lend to Ghana Cocoa Board. And I would like to know whether this, interest rate thing has played any role in, the decision to kind of stagger how much we are taking from the market today. Then specifically to the Agri Minister, Honorable Bernard Champong, you realize that over the past 7 years, a lot of investment has been talked about into, developing crop production. You're talking about, interventions such as hand pollination, irrigation, and other agronomic practices that Cocoa Board said it had introduced to ensure that crop production is maximized. However, over the same period, you are beginning to see, certain disturbing developments in the cocoa sector, to the point that, cocoa has been the backbone of this country. And for instance, scholarship secretariat is complemented by the Cocoa Board annually with Cocoa Board scholarship. But you realize that Cocoa Board is even talking about withdrawing. Yes, I'm coming to the question. Yes. No, yes. Let me lay a perfect foundation before. So, right. So you realize that there are disturbing developments in the cocoa sector, despite heavy investments that were talked about over the past 7 years. Now that you are in the sector, what picture are you seeing? What steps are you going to take that the cocoa sector is revamped and is brought back to that level where the confidence in the sector also supports the confidence in the economy, and we will not be suffering even when we are going for, syndicated loans to support the sector? Thank you.
This is loaded, so let us respond to this. Well, we can debate the benefits of syndication, the superiority of syndication versus domestic sourcing of funds. We can debate. We don't need to agree, right? But what I know is that with the syndication, the hard dollars don't even come into Ghana. It's usually the signal effect which impacts on our forex. The exchange rate is mostly signal effect, but the dollars are out there in the financing banks. Okay, with the local sourcing, the dollars will not come, because you are sourcing the fund locally to buy the cocoa, sell the cocoa, and they pay for the cocoa, dollars coming into the country. And so you are going to have a signal effect, versus physical dollar in the economy. So we can debate it. Both have advantages, but the one that will serve our interest better for us is the local sourcing, because that is what will make sure that the dollars actually arrive, so we can meet our dollar needs, as opposed to saying that we are giving you $1 billion US. The signal effect, yes, will affect our exchange rate, but the dollars do not come into our banks. Okay. As to what we are doing to revamp the cocoa sector, Cocoa Board certainly has challenges. Let me address your question. Cocoa Board. Whether the interest rate has played a role in our decision. The minister will address it, because I believe you haven't seen any of the term sheets to know what interest rate, but the minister will talk about that. I don't even want to encourage the minister to talk about that, because the interest on the term sheets are confidential information. They are still negotiating to arrive at the syndication amount. So I will not encourage the minister to put out the interest rate there. But how are we revamping the sector? We all recognize that Cocoa Board has challenges. They have. But we have to address those challenges, and we'll be working around it. Even the IMF has shown so much interest in the affairs of Cocoa Board, as a result of which we had to work with the Cocoa Board to develop a turnaround strategy, which we are implementing together with Cocoa Board, also under the view of the International Monetary Fund. If you heard, President, the Cocoa Board is reporting that they actually made profit for 2023. So the turnaround strategy is being implemented, and we are very confident that we will see major progress going forward on the operations of Cocoa Board. But Minister, yes, this is your sector.
Thank you. I was thinking that we're going to get some applause from the cocoa turnaround strategy. It's working. They declared profit last year. I don't know or see any departure from the interest rate that Cocoa Board has been attracting since they started syndication. There's really no departure. The base, I'm not going to go into as advised by the finance minister, but the base is always determined by either LIBOR or SOFR, plus the margin. And if you go and look at the margin, which we can then negotiate and control, it's consistent with what we have been getting really since we started syndication. It is not fixed, but it's not really a far departure, as though because the fundamentals are weak, we are getting a steep margin that is affecting us. It is really affected by the base. And if you go and look at the SOFR and LIBOR rates, you will understand that SOFR currently is 5.35%. Whether you are a blue chip company or you are Kofi Menu from Nsawam, the SOFR rate is 5.35, and that is the base, the starting point, plus margin. And that is what is affecting. So if 4 years ago the SOFR plus margin was 3.5%, and then you go into the SOFR and the SOFR was 2%, then you realize that the margin is 1.5%. But today, SOFR in itself is 5.35%. Then you come and add your margin. So it is not as though interest margins have gone up because the fundamentals of Cocoa Board are that weak. But the fact that Cocoa Board is no longer giving scholarships is a reason why you should be happy knowing that the turnaround strategy is working. Because if we have free, Cocoa Board was giving scholarships to secondary school students. Now we have free SHS. So what is Cocoa Board's business then in giving secondary school scholarships? Do you understand? So the fact that you have free SHS and Cocoa Board is giving scholarship to, I'm a beneficiary of Cocoa Scholarship when I was at Presec Legon. Today, if I have a child at Presec benefiting from free scholarship, so it is only prudent that because of free SHS, Cocoa Board withdraws from giving Cocoa Scholarship. It is not stopping Cocoa Scholarships because its financials are weak, but it's because of the free SHS. That is why it's collapsing. Then again, for tertiary level students who are benefiting from scholarships, both GET Fund and the Scholarship Secretariat has been strengthened to deal with that situation. So I just want to make it clear that the fact that Cocoa Board is not giving scholarship is not because its financials are weak, but it's because free SHS doesn't make it prudent for them to continue to do that. Yeah, I think those are the questions that.
Let me also add that what I think is happening is that the market out here, especially in Ghana, is so used to the syndication model. So that is what you have heard over the years. And so typical of us, when there is a change, people have difficulty accepting a change. Of course, if you have a drastic change, you will be faced with risk of adjustment. And this is why you have to make any change you want to do gradual. And that is why we said that we are not abandoning the syndication. Indeed, last year, Cocoa Board had to return part of the funds they raised from syndication. They got the money and they had to return part of it to the banks because they had money through their forward trading with the traders. And so they didn't even need all the money they raised from syndication. But I don't think this was known to the public. And so when you hear that they are weaning themselves from syndication, which as a policy, government, we've said, yes, but it cannot be drastic change. It has to be gradual. And this is why I said that we are doing both syndication as well as sourcing alternative funding to purchase cocoa. So don't, as we shouldn't be alarmed about this, because when you, I've listened to other people tell me that because of the new, the weaning of Cocoa Board away from syndication is going to affect the DDEP, is going to affect foreign exchange, but this must be backed by solid analytical work. But if we speculate, we rather will be hurting the economy and not the change in the way Cocoa Board sources fund to buy cocoa.
Yes, I'm Ghanaian. So the minister said we need about 8.3 billion to address the looming food shortage or crisis. He said he has submitted proposals to Parliament for 500 million from the contingency fund. I'm asking, how are we going to address the shortfall, and from which sources are we going to raise money to fund the expenditure? Secondly, people are also wondering, why are we talking about dry spells when the government promised there were going to be one dam, one village, one dam? Is it that the dams are not working? Why are we talking about dry spells now? So going forward, do we have a long-term plan to provide dams, especially in the Bono areas where we have a lot of rivers and underground water? So that will not talk about food shortage and dry spells again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Akol. I correspond for Bloomberg. Agric Minister, how do you, okay, well, is it dry spell or drought, or does El Nino have any factor in this? I want to have this clarity. And how do you marry banning imports, banning exports, and yet you want to import? You admit that you import tomatoes and onions from Burkina Faso and Niger, and they also import something from some crops from us. You want to get the tomatoes and want to get the onions, and yet you are banning exports to some countries. How do you marry that? And to Finance Minister, your deficit is doing 2.4 in June against a target you said 2.8. How does that feed into your overall primary surplus at the end of the year? So given that is an IMF target. Thank you.
The first question, the contingency fund and other sources. Of course, we are seeking to mobilize 8 billion Ghana cedis. And as I indicated earlier, we're looking at every available funding source, because the budget is in its 9th month. We are entering the 9th month of the budget, and so all our buffers really are almost depleted. So we want the contingency fund 500 million Ghana cedis from that, and also we are repurposing the budget of the Minister for Agriculture up to 800 million Ghana cedis from his budget, the Minister for Agric's budget. And then we are also sourcing some 200 million from the Ghana Cares. We are also realigning some other budgets to secure some 500 million Ghana cedis additionally. So 2 billion Ghana cedis in all could be leveraged from budget sources. Now, our development partners are also providing support. We are looking to raise some $200 million from our development partners. We have visibility on about $155 million now, but we hope that by close of next week, we should have confidence in whether we are able to secure $200 million from them. Other donors, development partners, are doing bits. You know, some want to do food aid. USAID, for example, wants to do cash transfer. They currently do about $1 million. They want to scale it up to cover more people. There is also a $30 million support the World Bank has been putting into LEAP, and we are discussing with them to increase the LEAP support from that $30 million US. So if you also donate as a good citizen of our country, we will take it so that we can ramp up to eventually getting the 8 billion Ghana cedis we need to address this crisis. And on this note, I use the opportunity to invite private sector in Ghana, Ghanaian citizens, to come to the aid of our farmers so that we can collectively confront this challenge to to restore confidence to our economy, and also to ensure that we do not deviate from our growth trajectory. Then there is also a question on the deficit
and primary surplus.
We are on course on the primary balance. We are supposed to achieve a surplus of 0.5% of GDP. We are on course. As of today, the figures I saw indicate that we are about 0.2 percentage point, as am I right, away from the target. 0.1 percentage point away from the target for primary balance. And so given that we have 3 to 4 months left, we are very confident that we'll achieve the target for primary surplus of 0.5% of GDP. Mr. Brian.
Thank you. I'm hoping that the Ministry of Agriculture can benefit from the primary surplus to deal with intervention.
You have to take economic lessons from
I think we have a dry spell. What we are experiencing is not a drought condition. It's not a drought, but it's a dry spell that has been extended, causing what we call near drought conditions. But it is not a drought. We've had some newspapers and journalists report that we have a drought situation. No, it's actually a dry spell. And this dry spell was actually predicted by the Ghana Meteorological Agency. So we knew about it. We knew that it was going to take some time. We did send an advisory to farmers, which advisory was interpreted differently. So farmers went ahead to plant, and this is where we are. Now, we are importing, and then we want to ban export, and that if that person had banned export, will we get the imports? Was that the import of the question?
No, it's neither the import nor the export. The import is just a scenario where Burkina Faso and Niger, as a case in point, where we buy onions and tomatoes, and they also import some things from us. So if you are banning them, don't you think that we also lose that opportunity to also get some of the things we get for, especially Burkina Faso and Niger?
No, we're fine. What we are talking about is state filling in a gap. Is a state filling. The private sector actors are bringing in grains all the time, and this year they will bring in more grains than even what we seek to bring as food grants. So I don't think that there will be any effect on trade being performed by Ghana. What we have is that we have to deal with a very short-term challenge, and we believe that by keeping the grains in country, we can use it to avert a major. We don't even have to import more. We're going to bring in, yet the little that we have, we want others to come in and take out. Look, last year we had a bumper. Last year we had a bumper harvest. The price of maize, for example, dropped from 400 to 145, 150 Ghana cedis last year, 50 kg bag. Okay, major intervention where we started the PFJ, all the things that we put in yielded the results that we wanted. What we saw was that a lot of aggregators were aggregating the Ghanaian grains that we had intervened to produce and aggregating for export. In fact, when the finance minister and myself went to Techiman, Kikintampo, and we were getting a briefing, the officer there was telling us that when the Burkinabés come and they bring large trucks to come and buy the maize from our farmland, I sent a letter for the officer to be fired. That you sit here, people come, you give all the farmers the inputs, the grant inputs, okay, and then others come to buy, that this cannot be done, and you sit here and you supervise it, and you are bold enough to even report to us ministers of state and directors of the Ministry of Finance and Agric that this is what, and I asked him, so what have you been doing about it? So anyway, it's said and gone. We know what to do. We are capable. We produce more maize than we consume. Okay, maize, we produce more maize than we consume, and we are putting up a silo, a 60,000 metric ton silo, to begin to store some of the harvest that will come in. So we are fine. The issue of, and I've answered this question yesterday. If you have built 574 small dams, why are you not able to deal with the dry spell? And I keep saying that one of the most successful things that we have done is these one village, one dams that we built up north. Why has it been successful? You just have to look at why we built them. We did not build 574 irrigation schemes, which is taking water from large water bodies and rivers into dams. That is an irrigation scheme to deal with planting on a larger irrigable area. So I'm building an irrigation scheme, for example, in Atonsu. I'm taking water from the Afram River 2 kilometers in to Atonsu, and I have 1,500 hectare irrigable land to use that water. The 574 dams that we built was for a different purpose. It wasn't an irrigation scheme. So if you go to the north, their rains are like flash floods. It comes in big, 2-3 hours, or in some cases a couple of days, and then it recedes, it goes off. Don't forget that they have this experience 3 months in a year. So the idea was that let's create these dams to harvest rain water. To harvest rain water. Okay, so that at least instead of it running off, we can store the water for a month or 2, so that they can use it for planting and small areas, maybe about 15 hectares, mostly around these dams, and then for their livestock, and then for vegetable farming here and there. So they are not irrigation schemes, and they have served the purpose very well. Extremely successful. Extremely successful. In fact, it contributed to why last year we had the bumper harvest. And when we had the bumper harvest, nobody came to applaud me or government on how effective the dams have been in contributing to the bumper harvest. This year, we did not get rains into the dam because those dams are rain-fed, not a mechanized irrigation scheme. That is a big difference. And this year, the rains it started raining from August 20th. These dams are filling, and we will be able to use it to crop the second half of the year. So that is really the difference that we have to put on record. Those 574 dams have been very, very successful, and it's going to serve us well in the long term. Thank you.
Thank you. My friend, why are you worried that if we ban our exports, another country will ban what we import? Why are you worried about that? The market is free market out there. Some have deficits, some have surpluses. If you read your theory of comparative advantage, that should answer your question. So if Burkina also bans what we import into Ghana, the US has those imports, we will not get it. We won't. Brazil did not ban. And so countries ban because they want to achieve a specific purpose. But that doesn't mean that once I'm banning, all other countries are also banning what I get. So I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you.
It was a question, Honorable.
Minister, we can conclude.
Yes.
Thank you.
Honorable Minister, okay, you have a last
No,
word.
I just want to add to what the minister said. Government is doing its part. The private sector can come in. I think, Minister, this just came out. We have to look at a mechanism that we can put in place, maybe here at Finance or Ministry of Agriculture, or even the DP coordinated task force, to see how the private sector can also help in supporting our farmers come out of the situation. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for a great Honorable Minister for Finance. On this note, we thank our media partners for joining us, and we'll call on Madam Ruth Butio, okay, Ruth Butio, to do us the honors of thanking our guests and the ministry for us. Is she here?
Thank you, Honorable. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you today for spending precious time with us. Thank you to the representatives of the various media houses for your insightful questions and for your commitment to keeping the good people of Ghana well informed about the progress on the economic front. To our guests and those who work hand in hand towards Ghana's development and government, we say thank you. The Honorable Minister for Food and Agriculture, Honorable Brian Achampong, MP for Abetifi, your presence here has really enriched our gathering today. And we also thank the Honorable Deputy Minister for Information, a very able moderator, Honorable Sylvester Tete, MP for English Amanfro, our Deputy Minister, aka incoming, Honorable Dr. Alex Ampave. Thank you also. And we also thank the head of MASLOC, the Deputy General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, and we thank you, Alhaji Issa Fuseni. Thank you all for the support that you offer our minister and for the great work you are all doing. To our Chief Director, the directors and the staff of the ministry, thank you all for your hard work and tireless commitment to the cause of Mother Ghana. For those gathered at home, we hope that we have provided a detailed and comprehensive update on economic happenings in our country over the past 1 month. And we hope that we have inspired confidence and hope that the government of Nana Akufo-Addo Dankwa is working every day to build our nation and uplift the good people of Ghana. Finally, Minister, I can't thank you, but I can only share what people have been saying online. And the 2 comments I would read. One says, we trust your leadership and surely we shall progress as a nation. And the second comment is, thank you for the good work you are doing, Minister. We'll hand over now to Dr. Alhassan Idrisu for the closing prayer.
You are not fair. You should read the one that says my blood face.
There was no such comment, Minister.
But let me say this. All the work we are doing it for His Excellency the President. It is his work, it is his vision. The budget is his budget. We are just implementing his vision. And so the credit goes to the President of the Republic. And we thank him, all of us who are working for him, and the people of Ghana. We thank him for the services that he's providing to our country, the leadership, that strong leadership, and the vision that is turning our country around. We've had some difficulties as a result of what is known to all of us, but we are turned the corner, and there is hope, and everybody can see hope in what His Excellency the President is doing for the country. So thank you to all of you.
The closing prayer. Thank you.
So let's pray. Oh Allah, we thank you for a successful media engagement on the economy today. There are critical emergency issues the country is dealing with, and we seek your help for successful resolution of this crisis through the interventions that the government has put in place and is executing to better the lives of the Ghanaian people. Fatiha, in the name of Allah, the most graceful, the most beneficial. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the most compassionate, the most merciful, Master of the Day of Judgment. You alone we worship, and you alone we ask for help. Guide us to the straight path, the path of those you have blessed, and not the path of those you've incurred your wrath, nor those who have gone astray. Amen.
Amen.
It's not like Eva. Eva rehearsing her prayers. Allah is waiting for